Let us now summarize Module 3. In Module 3, we saw that the organization must develop. It is all about performance evaluation. So we saw that the organization must develop, apply, and carry out on different processes needed for monitoring, measuring, and analysis of evaluation. So there must be, and they must have a monitoring process, measurement, analysis, and the evaluation of the results of this measuring and monitoring data. The management must identify what is required to be monitored or measured. The organization must identify the methods for measuring, monitoring, analysis, and evaluation of performance as related to make sure valid results. That means whatever is to be measured, a monitoring method must be a measuring method must be established. Who is measuring? What is being measured? What is being monitored? And at what intervals is this monitoring being done? At what method is this measuring being done? And the results from measuring and monitoring must be analyzed and evaluated. The organization must identify when the monitoring and measuring must be done. The organization must identify when the results for monitoring and measurement must be analyzed and evaluated. So there must be a time frame on whatever is being monitored, whatever is being measured, then there must be a time frame of when, who, how, and when the analysis and the evaluation is to be carried out. The organization must analyze, evaluate appropriate data and information arising from results of verification. So after verification of OPRPs and PRPs has been carried out, then the analysis of this must be done. The analysis of verification, whatever results, whatever data, whatever findings for verification activity has been brought forth by the team that was doing verification, then the analysis must be carried out. In verification, remember we said that for verification, it must have undefined interval. So we saw that verification, the organization must define when to carry out verification activity. Same case with internal audits. Internal audits must be scheduled and they must fall under the scope. So if your scope is gate to gate, that is reception to dispatch, then you cannot start doing audits beyond that. So the organization must determine and develop a schedule with the understanding of the scope. Well, most of this seems workable, resembling numerous clauses of ISO 22000, 2005. The internal audit should be obtained from more vigilantly than the other standard. That means the internal audits for food safety management system, ISO 22000, it is more vigilant compared to the other standards, that is the ISO 9001. ISO 9001. The management should have designed internal audits at consistent intervals. We have said that when conducting a management review. So just like you are scheduling the internal audits, you must also schedule the management reviews. So the management reviews shall also be scheduled. You say maybe you are going to carry out after 3 months, after 4 months, then you schedule them. But the internal audits should come before the management reviews, because the findings of verification and the findings of internal audits will form a basis of input into the management review. The outcomes of hazard analysis and critical control point, customer input, complaints, risk, and opportunities, verification activities can and should be utilized to plan internal audits. So whatever the outcomes are of verification activities, maybe there was a customer complaint, maybe after the inspections by regulatory organizations, then that can be utilized when you are planning for internal audits to know what departments and where to give more focus. The auditor must have knowledge, work experience, and recognized training, and be extremely conscious of the food safety policy, objectives, and related performance. You can't just pick anyone to do the internal audit. So the auditor must have the knowledge, the work experience, and the necessary competence. That is, they must have the necessary training to carry out the internal audits. They must also understand the food safety policy of the organization and understand the objectives of the organization and related performances. For auditing purposes, the auditable clauses are from clause 4 to 10. Clause 1 and 2, 3 are not auditable. The standard necessitates that management reviews of the food safety management system, appropriateness, suitability, and usefulness of the food safety management system to be carried out by top management at planned intervals. We have already said that the management reviews, same case with the internal audits and the verification activities, must be planned. So there must be documented information and procedure on how to carry out this, and at giving in intervals of doing the management reviews, the internal audits, and the verification activities. The organization is required to take actions to address non-conformities if needed. If required, the organization can make changes in the food safety management system to prevent non-conformity occurring again. So where there are non-conformities arising from verification or from internal audits, then the organization can be forced even to make changes. Maybe it may be change of a process, maybe a change of a machinery, maybe a retraining, maybe a change of the staff, something like that. The organization, the non-conformities can necessitate a process change or a change within the food safety management system. The extent of investigation for non-conformities is proportional to the extent of its impact on the food safety performance on management system. We saw that the management must continually improve the relevance, sufficiency, and effectiveness of the food safety management system. Top management must make sure that the food safety management system is continually updated. When an incident or an nonconformity exists, the management must respond in a time-oriented way to the incident or nonconformity. They must also take measures to manage and correct it. So there must be correction and corrective actions being taking place. They must also be ready to cope with the consequences. The organization or the top management must be ready to cope with the consequences in case an nonconformity occurs. Thank you very much.